Republican Senator Rob Portman of Ohio, voicing support for same-sex marriage with a personal note that his son is gay, joins a bipartisan movement toward the recognition of rights that many Americans are embracing. I have come to believe that if two people are prepared to make a lifetime commitment to love and care for each other in good times and in bad, the government shouldn't deny them the opportunity to get married, Portman wrote in a commentary published today in the Columbus Dispatch. Portman joins some within his own party, notably former Vice President Dick Cheney, in speaking to an issue from the heart. Cheney has a daughter who is gay. Leaders in both parties, most prominently President Barack Obama, have joined in calling on the U.S. Supreme Court 1000L to overturn the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, which defines marriage as between a man and woman, and to reinstate a constitutional amendment for gay marriage in California. The court will hear arguments on March 26 and 27. I'm glad Senator Portman has joined the growing majority of Americans who support full civil rights for our gay and lesbian family, friends and neighbors, said fellow Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, a Democrat, in a statement today. Ian James, co-founder of Freedom Ohio, said in a statement that Portman is the first Republican member of the United States Senate to endorse the freedom to marry, but we believe he will not be the last. Opposition remains still. Opposition to same-sex marriage remains a potent political force, with 41 states banning it, and opponents say endorsements such as Portman's can't sway the basic family values of the American public. For him to try to influence public policy because of a tragic situation in his family, said Phil Burress, president of Citizens for Community Values in Cincinnati, I do not see that as changing the views of the voters in Ohio. Nationally, the plurality of Americans have said they support marriage equality, according to a poll conducted by George Washington University and Politico in December, with 40% agreeing and 30% supporting civil unions. 1 in 5 surveyed said they had changed their minds on the issue, and among younger Americans, those 18 to 29 years of age, almost two-thirds said they support same-sex marriage. The increasing number of political leaders speaking out in support is bound to accelerate an evolution in public thinking, says Paul Beck, Professor Emeritus of Political Science at Ohio State University in Columbus. Snowball rolling. This is like a snowball rolling downhill, Beck said in an interview today. People who you and I might respect take a view that is different from ours. We begin to think twice about our own view. The president announced that his own thinking had changed during an interview with ABC News in May, in the midst of his 2012 re-election campaign, when he said, at a certain point I've just concluded that for me, personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married. The Obama administration has urged the Supreme Court to reinstate same-sex marriage in California. The designation of marriage confers a special validation of the relationship between two individuals and conveys a message to society that domestic partnerships or civil unions cannot match. U.S. Solicitor General Donald Verrilli argues. The former Solicitor General of the Republican administration is leading the argument for gay marriage in California at the High Court. Ted Olson, who served President George W. Bush. Political ties. At the same time, the political sensitivity of the issue could be measured in the story of Cheney, who served 2 terms as Bush's vice president and whose daughter, Mary, is gay. Speaking at the National Press Club in Washington in June 2009, Cheney said, as many of you know, one of my daughters is gay, and it is something we have lived with for a long time in our family. I think people ought to be free to enter into any kind of union they wish. Yet Cheney hadn't spoken out in support of gay marriage when Bush was first running for president in 2000, or in the 2004 re-election campaign that emphasized traditional family values in Republican precincts. He said in an ABC News interview last year that it wouldn't have done much good and probably would have sunk President George W. Bush's prospects for office. Shady campaign. Even now, former First Lady Laura Bush, a supporter of same-sex marriage, has asked to be removed from a $1 million TV ad campaign that a group called Respect for Marriage is airing in support of the issue. The ad featured her, Cheney, Obama and retired Army General Colin Powell as supporters. Portman, the former budget director in the Bush administration and a former congressman, was among Republican Mitt Romney's potential vice presidential candidates in 2012. Romney asserted that marriage is reserved for a man and woman. In his essay, Portman revealed that 2 years ago, his son Will, then a freshman at Yale University, told him and his wife that he is gay. I wrestled with how to reconcile my Christian faith with my desire for Will to have the same opportunities to pursue happiness and fulfillment as his brother and sister, Portman wrote. Ultimately, it came down to the Bible's overarching themes of love and compassion and my belief that we are all children of God. As a U.S. House member, Portman voted for the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996 and the 1999 bill to prohibit same-sex couples in the District of Columbia from adopting children. He also supported the idea of a constitutional amendment that would ban same-sex marriages. Portman's shift in 2011, his opposition to gay rights led to a protest by graduates of the University of Michigan Law School who walked out of his commencement address after petitioning that his invitation to speak be withdrawn because of his views. He told CNN in an interview broadcast this morning that at the time he knew his son was gay. Portman said that even though he has known about his son's sexual orientation for 2 years, he was making the announcement now for 2 reasons. He has only recently gotten comfortable with his decision to shift his position, and he knew he would probably be asked about his opinion in the cases before the Supreme Court. It was the right time to let folks know where I stand so there's no confusion, so I would be clear about it, Portman told CNN. In an interview with the Columbus newspaper today, Portman said he sought advice last weekend from Cheney. Do the right thing. Follow your heart, Portman said Cheney told him. In a Twitter message today, Portman linked to the Columbus Dispatch op-ed essay and wrote, "Especially proud of my dad today.